Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. For those of you who don't know, my name is Libby. I cover a bunch of different content from what I eat in the day, hauls, vlogs. I talk about recent stuff on the news, and I just do a bunch of different content. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell. So today I thought when I was moving, I found a bunch of old papers from treatment for my eating disorder, anorexia. And I thought I would kind of go over some of the papers that I found that were from PHP, which is the partial program, which is where I lived when I was in residential. I was transferred to the PHP program, which is where I lived in an apartment and went to the program Monday through Friday all day, like 8 to 3, and then on Saturdays, like 8 to noon. So I figured I'd go over kind of some of the papers that we had to do daily there with like meal planning and stuff. Also, this is a trigger warning for anybody who may not be comfortable with talking about some of like the meal plan stuff. I may not be in the best spot in recovery from eating disorder or whatnot. This is just a trigger warning. So let's get into it. So first, when you were transitioning from PHP, they would give you what is called your own menu plan, daily intake chart, which would give you a list of how many meats, breads, fats, fruits, veggies, supplements, and milks you would need. So this is what it kind of looked like. So like it would give you, so this is what you would have to do every day. So you would write down the number that goes with lunch, breakfast, and the number of how many you were supposed to get. And then they would also give you, let me find it. So then they would also give you, there's so many papers, this menu plan, which you would fill out because you would have to do your first week while you're at residential, so you could talk it over with the dietitian before you left to make sure you know what you're doing. So like you said, it says breakfast, lunch, snack 1, dinner, snack 2, because that's what we had in treatment. And they would have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And obviously, like I said before on my channel, Tuesday and Thursday for snack was Joy Food, where we did like a challenge food. So we would have to fill this out with and make sure that we had all the requirements from our daily intake chart, which would talk about, so like if we had to have 3 breads at breakfast, we had to make sure we have 3 servings of bread on our breakfast list. Okay, I have to show you this.
He is such a baby.
I love our dog. Anyway, and then you would then create this grocery list. So it has like breads, milks, fruits, veggies, meats, fats, and condiments and stuff like that. So you would transfer from your meal plan for the week and make a grocery list, which you would take because we would go grocery shopping once a week in the morning after breakfast to Walmart. And then we would come back, label everything, because you did have to label everything with your initials, so we would not get confused on whose is what. And then we would put it away, and then by then it would pretty much be lunchtime, because grocery shopping took actually an insanely long time, especially when there was like 7 of us. So it was actually kind of surprising how long it took, but it didn't seem like that long of time. But by the time we get there at 8, make breakfast for everybody, because like they had to, it was a long process for making a meal there. But anyway, so have, before you leave residential, you would sit down one-on-one with a dietitian at a table, and they would go over this, and they would make sure, say, okay, hey, you're missing a bread exchange up here. So we got to fix that. We got to add something. Or you're missing a fruit exchange. And then, like, they would also talk about, like, okay, a packet of oatmeal equals this many bread exchanges. Banana equals this many fruit exchanges. And those type of things. They also gave you that list, which I do not have. So I must have just thrown it away. But they would give you that. So you would have to, that you would also look over that when you were making your meal plan. And then this actually, the intake chart, you have to fill out every day. So every day you would get a blank copy and you would put your initials and then you would put in your numbers that are needed on the weekends. During the week when you went to PHP, they would have yours there and they would pull it out when you did breakfast. And then at the end of the day, they would hand it to you. So you have your numbers, and then after each meal, they would put the number of exchanges actually met. So if you did do 3 bread exchanges, they would write a 3. And then they would also have, under type, they would write type. So if you did a banana, 2 fruit exchanges, type banana. And then they would also have to sign at the very end. And obviously, dinner and snack 2 on the weekdays were up to you to be honest about. And obviously, they aren't there at the apartment with you. So you just had to hold yourself accountable, which honestly was not the easiest. And I'm going to be honest with that. When I was in PHP the first time in Florida, because it was a long story that I had to go back and forth, it was hard. And then you would turn this in every morning. When you went up to start breakfast, you would turn in your sheet. They would look it over while you start getting out all your stuff to make breakfast. And then they would sign it. And if you did not get an exchange from the day before, you would have to make it up that day at PHP before you left the building. You couldn't just say, I'll make it up at dinner tonight. You had to make it up in front of staff. What I did have to do once, because of an honest mistake. We went out to restaurant once a week, and I thought the leftovers I had equaled more exchanges than what it did. So then that next day, I had to make up a couple exchanges, which was not fun. But it's part of the game. They're there to help you. So that is kind of it. And then on the weekends, obviously, we would have blank ones at the apartment. We would fill out because Sunday we didn't go to PHP at all. And then Saturday we had snack 1, dinner, and snack 2 by ourselves. Well, at the apartment, not with staff. Obviously, we had our roommates too, because there was not a time that I was not at PHP that I didn't have a roommate. I don't know if that really ever happened there, but it didn't in the time I was there. Anyway, so that's kind of a little bit it. There was a lot of times where it was really hard because they would ask you, okay, like I would have my menu made and then I would switch it up the day of because maybe I didn't want something, or maybe I miscounted how much I actually had and didn't actually have as many bananas as I thought, so I had to use a different fruit, or maybe I didn't have as many veggie nuggets, and I didn't have enough to equal a full exchange, so I had to switch things up. Or maybe this had happened to me if you ate the same thing too often, even if you have it on your menu plan, they would say, and they would make you try something else. There was a time where I had the same breakfast like 3 days in a row. So the 4th day they said, nah, we gotta switch it up. And I did end up not agreeing with that and kind of throwing a little bit of a eating disorder tantrum, is what I like to call it. So then I had to go out on the patio and sit one-on-one with the therapist there, and just talk with her for like 5 minutes about why I was nervous about switching up my breakfast, and then we went back in. So yeah, and I ended up switching it up. So that is kind of how some of those papers, I just thought it was interesting because like I obviously don't use that anymore. I don't count how many exchanges I have at certain meals. Obviously right now it's more of just making sure I get a well-balancedness of everything. Like, do I eat enough fruits? Do I eat enough veggies? Like, I don't like to be so controlling. Like, obviously there in PHP they had to be very, because some people were still in the restoration process, are in that very thin line of just getting over the restoration process, and definitely couldn't afford to slip backwards, and it's just a slippery slope. So they were very stern and very hawk watching. But obviously here in real life, now that I'm home, I don't want to be that picky. Like, oh, I need to make these exchanges for dinner, but my friend invited me out and we're going to a restaurant and they don't have anything on the meal plan that on their menu that equals those exchanges, because the one I want at the restaurant doesn't equal the exchanges that technically I have on my plan. And then you end up getting something at the restaurant you don't want, and just, it's like, because where real life, it ebbs and flows. Maybe you planned on having this for breakfast, but then your coworker brings in donuts, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna have that. I'm gonna have this Long John donut. So obviously in real life more than in PHP, things just go up and down. So, but that's just kind of a look into it. Hope it was a little informative and showed you kind of a glimpse. Please don't forget to subscribe. Love you all. Stay safe.